It's Thursday morning 2036. You open your laptop at work. There's a problem your team has been ignoring for months. Customer requests are coming from emails. Updates are hidden in spreadsheets. Managers keep asking for the same reports. And nobody has time to build a proper tool. So instead of opening a ticket with IT, you open your company's AI software builder. You describe what you need: a small dashboard, a few automations, a way to track customer requests, a way to send alerts when something is late. The AI asks a few questions. Who should use it? What data should it connect to? What should happen when something changes? 10 minutes later, there's a working app on the screen. Not perfect, but real. The strange part is not that AI helped build software. The strange part is that nobody calls this software development anymore. Because you see, in 2036, turning an idea into software has become almost normal. And this is where the economy starts to change. Because this story is not just about software, it's about what happens when AI makes software creation cheap. So the first question is this: what changes when software creation becomes cheap? Today, software is still expensive, not only because developers are expensive, but because the whole process takes time. You need to define the problem, you need to design the interface, you need to write the code, you need to test it, you need to fix bugs, you need documentation, you need security checks, you need integration with other systems. And because all of this takes time and money, most software never gets built. This is very important. You see, today companies only build software when the problem is big enough. If the problem is small, people use spreadsheet, they use emails, they use what do they use? They use manual workarounds. They copy and paste data. They create little processes in the background that nobody officially sees. Why? Because building custom software is too expensive for every small problem. But when AI becomes fully integrated into software creation, that changes. Coding becomes cheaper, prototyping becomes cheaper, testing becomes cheaper, documentation becomes cheaper, interface design becomes cheaper, debugging becomes cheaper. And when the cost of building software collapses, software becomes more abundant. That means we will not only have more big software platforms, we will have more small software, more personal software, more internal tools, more micro apps, more dashboards, more automations, more tools built for one team, one workflow, one department, and even one single person. So the big shift is this: software stops being something only large companies build. Software becomes something people generate around specific needs. Not every app will become a startup. Not every tool will become a giant SaaS company. Some software will exist for one business. Some software will exist for one project. Some software will exist for 1 month. Some software will exist for one very specific problem. And that changes the meaning of software. You see, software becomes less like a product you buy once from a big company and more like a living layer around your work. It appears when you need it. It changes when your workflow changes. And sometimes it disappears when the problem is gone. That is the first economic shift. Software creation becomes cheap. Software becomes abundant. And the world gets covered with custom tools, so to speak. Now, the second question is this: what new opportunities appear? If AI makes software easier to build, then the work does not disappear. It just, well, it just moves. Before, the main bottleneck was technical implementation, right? Who can code? Who can build the app? Who can create the database? Who can write the integration? But when AI can help with much of that, the bottleneck moves somewhere else. The new question becomes: what should be built? Why should it be built? Who will use it? How does it fit into the real workflow? Can people trust it? Is it secure? Is it useful? Will people actually adopt it? That is where the new value appears, you see, Because even if AI can generate software, it still needs direction. It needs judgment. It needs context. It needs someone who understands the real problem. And this creates new opportunities. We may see AI software orchestrators, people who know how to guide AI systems to create useful tools. We may see workflow designers, people who understand how work actually happens inside the company and can turn messy processes into a clear systems. We may also see domain experts who become software creators, so to speak. I will give you an example. A nurse who built tools for a clinic, a lawyer who built tools for legal workflows, a project manager who built tools for delivery tracking, a restaurant owner who built tools for inventory and staffing, a teacher who built tools for personalized learning. They may not be traditional developers, but with AI, they can help create software. We may also see new jobs around validation. People who test AI generated software, people who check if it is safe, people who make sure it follows rules, people who make sure the data is protected, people who make sure the software does not quietly create new risks. And you see, we will need people who connect these tools to the real world. Because building an app is one thing, making it work inside a real organization is kind of something else. You need integration, you need training, you need governance, you need support, you need adoption. And this is the important point. AI does not simply remove the software economy. It expands the surface area of software, so to speak. Because once software becomes cheaper, people find more use for it, kind of. You see, problems that were too small to automate before becomes worth automating. Workflows that were ignored before becomes worth improving. Small businesses that could not afford custom software before can now create it. Internal teams that waited months for IT can now build first versions themselves. So demand does not disappear. Demand grows because software becomes useful in more places. That is what happens when capability becomes cheap. People just use more of it. And when people use more of it, new markets appear. Now, the third question is this: what does this mean for you and me? Well, it means software will become much more personal. Today, most of us adapt, we're trying to adapt ourselves to the software itself. We buy a tool, like a product, a software, so to speak. Then we change how we work to fit the tool itself. We use the buttons the software give us. We follow the workflow the software designer, imagine. But in the future, software may adapt more to us. If you have a specific problem, you may be able to generate a small tool for that problem. If your team has a strange workflow, you may be able to create software around that workflow. If your business has a very specific need, you may not need to wait for a big company to build the perfect product, so to speak. You may build your own version, or at least the first version. This means ordinary people may become more powerful, not because everyone becomes a professional programmer. That's it's just not the case. It's like saying everyone that drives a car need to become a mechanical engineer. No, I mean that's just it's absurd. But because more people can turn ideas into working tools. That is a very big shift. But it also means something else. The most valuable skill will not only be coding, the most valuable skill will be clarity. Can you explain the problem? Can you describe the workflow? Can you understand what people actually need? Can you tell the difference between a useful tool and a useless tool, so to speak? Can you make sure the software is safe, trusted, and adopted? That is why human judgment become more important. Because when creating software becomes easier, bad software also becomes easier to create. Like confusing software, unsafe software, software nobody uses, software that solves the wrong problem, So the future is not simply AI build all the software and humans disappear. It's just not the case. The future is more interesting, so to speak. AI makes software creation cheap, right? Then humans need to decide what is worth building, how it should work, where it should fit, and how it should improve real life. So the conclusion is this: every general purpose technology changes the economy in a similar way. It makes certain capabilities cheaper. When those capabilities become cheaper, they become more abundant. When they become more abundant, people start using them in a new ways. That creates new demand. New demand creates new markets, and new markets create new services, new products, new businesses, and new jobs. Because those businesses requires, well, people to run them. That's that's logical, right? In software, AI makes the creation of software cheaper, so software becomes more abundant. But the new bottleneck is not simply code. The new bottleneck is understanding, problem definition, workflow design, product judgment, security, trust, integration, and human adoption. So AI will not simply shrink the software industry. It's simply not the case. It may actually expand it in a quite big way. Because once software becomes cheap enough, we will start building tools for problems that were never worth solving before. Small problems, local problems, personal problems, business specific problems, industry specific problems. And that is how a new ecosystem appears, not only around writing code, but around deciding what should exist. So the real question is not only will AI replace software developers, the real question is what happens when almost everyone can turn an idea into software? Because that is how we understand the AI economy. Not by asking only which jobs disappear, but by asking what new systems appear when creation becomes abundant. If this got you thinking, please drop a comment. I read everything. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.